Hi, my name is Sarah, again from the Present Joys and Gifts, and today is 10 of 100 of our daily prayers and devotionals. Hooray! Yay! Hallelujah! So let's start with our prayer. Let's bow our head and thank Jesus. Thank you, Jesus, who died on the cross and saved us all to return us back to our home and Heavenly Father up in heaven, who smiles down on all of us and is rooting for every single one of us to keep spreading the joy and love and light and laughter to all, to seek kingdom's true divine glory, who can move mountains and get past tidal waves and every storm. Thank you, Jesus, for your amazing action you did. You paid the price and saved every single one of us. It's transformed my life and it can transform yours as well. Jesus loves me and you and accepts all. And there isn't a sinner he can't save. And thank you, God, all powerful, almighty God up in the sky, who works all his miracles in wonderful ways. Alleluia. So, let me turn down the TV quickly. Okay, so the story I want to talk about today is called Joshua 9:10, and it's called the Gibeon Deception. And it states this. Okay. Now, when all the kings west of the Jordan heard about these things, the kings in the hill city and the western foothills, and along the entire coast of the Mediterranean Sea, as far as Lebanon, the kings of the Hittites, Amorites, Canaanites, Perizzites, Hivitites, and Jebusites, they came together to wage war against Joshua and Israel. However, when the people of Gideon heard what Joshua had done to Jericho and Ai, they restored to a ruse. They went as a delegation whose donkeys were loaded with worn-out sacks and old wineskins, cracked and mended. They put worn and patched sandals on their feet and wore old clothes. All the bread of their food supply was dry and moldy. Then they went to Joshua in the camp at Gilgal and said to him and the Israelites, "We have come from a distant country. Make a treaty with us." The Israelites said to the Hivites, "But perhaps you live near us. So how can we make a treaty with you?" "We are your servants," they said to Joshua. But Joshua asked, "Who are you and where do you come from?" They answered, "Your servants have come from a very distant country because of the fame of the Lord your God. For we have heard reports of him, all that he did in Egypt, and all that he did to the two kings of the Amorites east of the Jordan, Sihon king of Heshbon and Og king of Bashan, who reigned in Ashtaroth. And our elders and all those living in our country said to us, 'Take provisions for your journey. Go and meet them and say to them, "We are your servants. Make a treaty with us. This bread of ours was warm when we packed it at home on the day we left to come to you. But now see how dry and moldy it is. And these wineskins that we filled were new, but see how cracked they are. And our clothes and sandals are worn out by the very long journey." The Israelites sampled their provisions, but did not inquire of the Lord. Then Joshua made a treaty of peace with them to let them live, and the leaders of the assembly ratified it by oath. 3 days after they made the treaty with the Gibeonites, the Israelites heard that they were neighbors living near them. So the Israelites set out, and on the third day came to their cities, Gibeon, Kephirath, Beeroth, and Kirioth Jearim. But the Israelites did not attack them, because the leaders of the assembly had sworn an oath to keep them by the Lord, the God of Israel. The whole assembly grumbled against the leaders, but all the leaders answered, "We have given them our oath by the Lord, the God of Israel, and cannot touch them now. This is what we will do to them. We will let them live, so that God's wrath will not fall on us for breaking the oath we swore to them." They continued, "Let them live, but let them be woodcutters and water carriers in the service of the whole assembly." So the leaders' promise to them was kept. Then Joshua summoned the Gibeonites and said, "Why did you deceive us by saying we live a long way from you, while actually you live near us? You are now under a curse. You will now never be released from service as woodcutters and water carriers for the house of my God." They answered Joshua, "Your servants were clearly told how the Lord your God had commanded his servant Moses to give you the whole land and to wipe out all its inhabitants from before you. So we feared for our lives because of you, and this is why we did this. We are now in your hands. Do to us whatever seems good and right to you." So Joshua saved them from the Israelites, and they did not kill them. That day he made the Gibeonites woodcutters and water carriers for the assembly, to provide for the needs of the altar of the God at the place the Lord would choose. And that is what they are to this day. So let's get into what we could have learned from that. This story spoke to me because it shows um, it shows a fear in the world, a fear of God, and a fear of like governments. Back in time, this is another age, but regardless, that was still a reigning country, a reigning government. So they were afraid for their lives. We all experience fear sometimes. We're afraid of a job. We can't pay a bill. The government asks us to do something, etc. We're afraid for our families, our children's lives. And we're afraid of God. We want to do what's right. So this story really spoke to me because their first instinct, it shows to always put your trust in the Lord. And even when you're afraid, put your trust in the Lord. And that God is faithful and good and keeps his promises. So when they were afraid, they sought the Lord's guidance and knew to go to the kings that also worshiped the same God, that knew the Egyptians and knew the great story and all the miracles that God does. And they ended up telling a lie, but they still trusted in the Lord. And when the truth came out about them living near there, even though they weren't, they were saved and didn't get killed in return. So kind of barbaric back then, but this story to me speaks like I know I experience like fear all the time, and I pray all the time when I'm afraid or ask for guidance and wisdom and what to do. And as I stated, God can make mountains, and my children are playing, and can make a way when there seems no way. So when there was no hope and they didn't know what to do, they trusted in the Lord, and the Lord led them to this new country that they're now a part of and working for and not deceased. So it's kind of an intense story, but that is the story. My hands are very tiny. They're playing. That I wanted to share with you today. So thank you for watching, and I'd love to keep reading more Bible quotes and stories and praying with everyone. Hallelujah!